When did you know something was different?
So I remember, one of the biggest changes is when that you and I started working together, and I started mentioning, things with my son, and you said that you recommend he goes gluten and dairy free for at least 6 weeks. And so that was the summer of him going to first to second grade. And so, he was eating mac and cheese, crackers, goldfish, fruit, like the typical poor child diet. And so we took that avenue, and it was brutal. It was very difficult. He didn't eat for a couple days. He didn't sleep. I mean, it was a challenge, but we stuck through it. We did it. And when he got back to school that for second grade, our school is so tiny, all the staff, they thought, is he medicated now? What is so different? Because there was such a big change. And so from there, even at that time, like he changed, his drawing changed, his speech changed, his volume, like his speech volume went down. And we'd be driving around and he would say, Mom, where are we? The routes that we would be on all the time, he didn't recognize. And so something was clearly changing in his brain. From there, we just kind of, managed things with therapy, sensory processing disorder, trying to do sensory integration things, and just, kept going. And then in in third grade is when he got hit with strep and it wouldn't go away. And so that's when he started with those violent outbursts, and he was chasing his brother with scissors. He was grabbing knives. He was sleepwalking, claiming that he was seeing things in the middle of the night. Then he started saying he didn't want to be alive anymore. At that time, I mean, I don't know what age is appropriate to hear your child say something like that, but definitely at 9 years old, it's not okay for a child to ever speak that way. And at that time, I was working at the school, and my shift would be from about 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And he would have me check in with him when I got there. And then I would have to, it was his class that I was in, the last class before I left. And then it started to where that he couldn't be there without me. And so he would start going when I went, and then he would leave when that I left. And then the staff would call me into the classroom. Like he just couldn't, he was too anxious. He couldn't focus. He couldn't do simple math problems, and he's very bright. And so he got really frustrated, not understanding why his brain couldn't do the things that he needed to do. And so then he just, next thing you know, he was just at home. I couldn't get him to go anywhere. I couldn't get him to participate in anything. And just, he was absolutely miserable. And I was sitting in an airport going to a class, and, finally was like a bird on a mountaintop, out of the situation, like what is going on? And that's when I realized, I think he has pandas.
When I think about pandas, like, and we think about that label, it's not just like once you get rid of one strep, then we could just turn and walk away. And we found that actually wasn't the case.
Yes, that tick bite, that was the catalyst for I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. There was the tick bite, and then he was just getting sick and he couldn't get rid of any illness. His body was just overloaded. I realized it wasn't him. Like there wasn't something wrong with him. There was something is his environment, something in his body, something that we needed to change. So I really started looking at, making sure he was eating properly. You and I had started working together, and we were doing testing. Those tests are invaluable, working with those to figure out where you're at so you know where to go. And we did those specific labs. And then when you would talk with us, I like this Zoom because you could see him, and you would do the different testing to check his kind of brain function and see what it was doing, where he was at, his motor skills. And even from the beginning, I remember those first tests, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm not sure what you're testing, but I could see there's a difference on each side, or perhaps he's not doing what I would think a normal fluid movement would be. And then our homework, all of the fun exercises and games and things like that, you could really see a difference. It was not easy in the beginning, especially with the basal ganglia issue, him having to go slow. I mean, it was heart-wrenching to watch him be so frustrated.
Compared to what it was, and how is it like? How's the contrast now?
I feel like I was in a dream, or it's a different child. I mean, it's amazing. Whereas before, he didn't really use his imagination or draw, or he couldn't understand why his little brother and I were pretending. Now, I mean, I should show you his room. His whole wall is just covered with drawings and colorings that he does. He spends most of his day at the table creating. Um, he collects all the cardboard boxes that I get from all my multiple Amazon deliveries. And him and his brother took over our office one day and made something they called Kitty City. We have two little kittens, and so they like used twine as electrical wires and flashlights and had a store. I mean, it was very
Oh my
elaborate.
gosh.
Yeah. At one point, I remember just weeping, thinking this is our life now, when he was very sick. And it was just so heartbreaking to see a child in so much pain. And I just thought, okay, this is our life now. Our world is so different now.
Oh
And
yeah.
in a good way, like everything is amazing. And I'm like, am I crazy? Was I dreaming? Like, it's insane how different everything is in a good way.